Teledyne DALSA's Astrocyte, AI training made simple and cost-effective. Thank you for choosing Astrocyte, Teledyne DALSA's cutting-edge tool for creating custom AI models for machine vision solutions. In this tutorial, we'll show how to create bounding boxes for objects in training dataset images. Creation of image datasets is discussed in a previous tutorial. When training an object detection model, images must have the objects identified with bounding boxes, which are rectangles drawn around the target objects. These bounding boxes are labeled to describe the type of object in it. Manually drawing bounding boxes can be a long and time-consuming task, particularly with large datasets with hundreds or thousands of images. To greatly reduce this workload, Astrocyte includes a smart label function that automatically creates bounding boxes using an AI model trained on the dataset. Training a smart label model only requires that the absolute minimum number of images be annotated manually, greatly saving time and effort. For this tutorial, we will use a sample dataset of simple hardware, such as nuts, screws, washers, and crimp terminals. This dataset is included with Astrocyte and is available in the installation directory under Teledyne DALSA. Astrocyte, Datasets, Hardware, JPEG Images. In the Dataset tab, unlabeled images appear in the list in pink. To begin, select an image and right-click the category drop-down list to add an object label. At first, since there are no categories yet, the drop-down list is empty. Right-click in the Manage Categories dialog to add a category. Do this for all 5 hardware categories: nut, screw, nail, washer, and crimp terminal. You will now see all the bounding box categories are available in the drop-down list. For some applications, the angle of the object may be important, and Astrocyte allows you to create bounding boxes with or without angles. For this example, we do not need angle information, so we will use straight bounding boxes. One thing to note here is that you can only use one type of bounding box, with or without angle, since this affects the model training. Now we can start adding bounding boxes to images. After clicking the straight bounding box icon, start by selecting the object category from the drop-down list, for example nut, and create bounding boxes around each nut in the image. Do this for all the object categories in the image. If you need to adjust a bounding box after creating it, click the Unpin button so you can move it or change its size. Notice that bounding boxes can overlap each other. To quickly navigate through images while annotating and maintaining the mouse operation, use the spacebar to advance to the next image and the backspace button to move to the previous image. You will see the total number of bounding boxes in the ground truth column. In the AI domain, the term ground truth simply means that the annotations represent what is really in the image and not a prediction. Astrocyte will not allow you to train until a sufficient number of ground truths exists. These bounding boxes are labeled to describe the type of object in it. The minimum number of annotated images and the actual number of ground truths required is dependent on the variability, for example, size, color, and lighting, of the annotated objects from image to image, such that the training can generalize. Typically, at least 25 annotated images are required to train. When you have added enough bounding boxes to images to train a model, simply switch to the Training tab and click the Train button. Make sure you have selected the right dataset from the drop-down list before training. If Astrocyte detects that there are any unsaved changes to the dataset, you can save them now before training. When training, Astrocyte displays training and validation loss graphs to measure the training progress. These should converge towards 0 as training advances. The actual amount of time to train depends on the computer and graphics card hardware, but should be rather fast given the small amount of images used. When training is finished, give the model a name and save it. This will be the helper model to automatically create bounding boxes in the remaining images. In Astrocyte, this is called the Smart Label function. Using a helper model greatly reduces the manual effort required to properly annotate a dataset and is recommended for large datasets. Now return to the Dataset tab. Select an image that does not already have bounding boxes. To use the Smart Label function, we first need to select the helper model to use from the drop-down list. Right-click on the image and choose the Smart Label function. Note that the first time you use the Smart Label function, there is a short delay while the selected helper model is loaded and initialized. After the first execution, the next ones will be much faster. The helper model searches the image and automatically generates bounding boxes around all the different types of objects it locates. You can select more than one image at a time by holding the Shift button and clicking a range of images. You might find it useful to filter the images so that only the unlabeled images are displayed. To filter images, open the Filter section and click on the Pseudo Labels checkbox. This is a tri-state checkbox that allows you to display all images, annotated images, or unlabeled images. Unlabeled images also include those with bounding boxes created using the Smart Label function, also referred to as pseudo-labels, since they haven't yet been validated, which we will discuss shortly. Use the Smart Label function for all the unlabeled images that remain in the dataset. To ensure the accuracy of the Smart Label function, Astrocyte requires that generated bounding boxes be validated manually by clicking the Change to Ground Truth checkmark button. This validation process is necessary for robust training, and we are sure you will agree, is much faster than manually creating bounding boxes. One more advantage for using Astrocyte to create your custom AI solutions. We hope that this tutorial will help you to prepare your object detection datasets as quickly as possible. Thanks again for choosing Teledyne DALSA and Astrocyte.